The addition of level 16 has brought a lot of pros and cons into the game of Clash Royale, and I've been streaming a lot of Clash on my channel. If you're interested, jump in. I'd love to see you guys in the chat. But one of the topics that has got brought up quite a few times recently is that level 16 feels much harder than it has in the past, as in level 15 in the months prior, whether it be ladder or ranked. It's just a different feeling with the new level. And also, obviously, heroic cards. Now, the real thing that I want to discuss though is why level 16 is so much harder. And I'm not going to discuss heroic cards off the rip. It does make a point to the difficulty being increased, but it's not the one of the prime reasons, in my opinion, of why level 16 is so hard. So I want to jump in and talk about, first of all, the math behind ladder and the ladder rework there is. So if we jump into the new ladder system, you can see that we are now going to be maxing out at 12,000 trophies instead of the traditional 15,000 trophies. And with this rework, you are going up by 30 trophies per game, like you do normally before the 10,000 mark, instead of 150 trophies like you previously would. If you didn't know, once you hit 10k trophies and you started the grind to 15k trophies in previous season, you would earn 150 trophies each win you got and lost 150 trophies. But now it's at 12,000 trophies. And I want to talk a little bit about the math behind the difference between getting to 12k versus getting to 15k. So let's jump over to the calculator. So the season resets everybody to 10k trophies or somewhere in that ballpark. So we're going to start with 10k, meaning that the difference between 15k and 12k is going to be 3,000 trophies. Therefore, we're going to be using the numbers 2,000 and 5,000 to represent 12k and 15k, because again, we're getting rid of the 10k beforehand and just assuming that you're going to be starting off at 10k. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the math, because this is something that I did right off the bat when the update was announced. I did the math and I figured out one of the big reasons why ladder is so much more difficult. So if we take 5,000 and we're going to divide it by 150, which is the amount of trophies you would earn per game, we're going to get the amount of games it takes you to get to 15k trophies, which is 33.33 repeating. And that is how many games it used to take you to get to, well, the minimum amount of games it used to take you to get to 15k trophies. It could be done in a day if you're a professional or you're an ultimate champ and you are just grinding the game. 33 games in a day isn't that many games if you have the time, of course. It's obviously going to take a couple hours, but if you really wanted to, you could do it in a day if you're really that good. But on the other hand, let's take 2,000 trophies, but instead of dividing by 150, we're down back to that 30 trophy per win category, or that system, if you will. So we're going to divide this by 30, and this is going to get us the new amount of games it takes to get to the max amount of trophies on Trophy Road, which is 66.66 repeating. And that is double, exactly double the amount of trophies you used to have to get. So while Supercell said we're going to reduce Trophy Road's level, or the amount of trophies that you are required to get to max out in trophies on Trophy Road. Of course, you can go over 12k, but as the peak of Trophy Road, that's the new goal for many people, myself included. It's going to take you twice as many games to get there. Now, just to put an example of how difficult this is, as you can see, I am currently sitting at 11,000 trophies, and we are exactly 2 weeks into the season. Last month, 2.5 weeks into the season, I hit 15k trophies. And obviously, as time progresses and I play a lot more coming back to the game, I'm going to get a lot better. So it makes sense that I would have already hit those 33 wins, in a sense, this early into the season, right? But I'm only halfway to 12k trophies. Now, there's another reason for why this is also so difficult. So besides the fact that you are making, or you're being forced to play twice as many games due to it only giving you 30 trophies per win instead of the 150, and then obviously Supercell should have dropped the trophy amount to 11,000 trophies, and then it would have equaled the same amount of trophies to get to 10k to 11k versus 10k to 12k, but obviously they didn't. The other reason why Trophy Road is so difficult, again, besides the fact that you're playing twice as many games, is because of level 16, but not in the sense that they released an extra level, but in the sense that they reworked how you get to level 16 and the drops that you get from lucky drops. You used to be able to use elite wildcards, as many of you I'm sure remember. The level 16 used to be level 15. Level 15 required 50,000 elite wildcards. But to get elite wildcards, you could either pull them from a lucky drop, you could buy them in the store, or if you had a card maxed out at level 14 or 15, you would receive elite wildcards every time you got a duplicate card of that specific card. Meaning, all the cards you were getting, whether it was a legendary, a champion, a common card, you were getting cards to level up other cards to level 15. Now we are in a position where you have to hope that you either pull the specific card or you get wild cards. But it is absurdly difficult to get wild cards. I have only gotten wild card once since I've started playing this update. That at least I can remember. I cannot remember pulling wild cards at all so far this update. I only remember pulling wild cards once. I think it was a 5-star drop that we opened in a video and it gave me 5 champion cards. And mind you, that is a huge nerf to what it used to be, because it used to be you would get a book of cards for a specific rarity that would allow you to max out the card, versus 5 champion cards only giving me a third of the amount of cards I would need to max out a champion. So we already know the lucky drops are extremely nerfed, and now we're looking at this knowing that the way to get to the max level of a card is also nerfed because you're not getting elite wild cards, and now you're getting crystals for cards that are maxed out. So now we talk about the crystal aspect of all of this. The crystal aspect is probably one of the most interesting things that Clash decided to do. They want to sell you emotes pointlessly, might I and you, because you can just turn them off, whatever, for 20,000 crystals. Now I've gotten quite a few crystals at this point. I have 2 cards that are maxed out, and I've gotten 4,000 crystals because I think I pulled 5 legendary cards for a card that I had maxed out. And I'm still obviously nowhere near hitting 20,000 crystals, nor does it help me at all progress in the game. So they severely nerfed the progression aspect for not only free to play players, but also if you're pay to win, you're just simply going to have to go into the market and buy wild cards for the specific card that you need through deals like this. Which, I mean, I guess if you're Jinxie and have all the money in the world, you can do that. I mean, in that sense, maybe it's okay for some people, but for most people like myself, the only money I'm spending on this game is realistically for the Pass Royale, and that's to make videos on, to obviously post to YouTube for this. So in that sense, it's more for content than it is for actually spending money on the game. I hate the idea of spending money on the game. I really don't want to spend any more money on this game if I had the choice. Of course, when they drop a Pass Royale and it comes with a heroic card that's brand new, I'm going to buy that so I can make content for and post to YouTube. All that to be said, the new Trophy Road system, the new way to progress levels and to get to level 16, and the crystals are all severely nerfing how progression works in Clash Royale, and all are reasons as to why level 16 has gotten so difficult. And now we come to the heroic aspect of this. I'm going to jump into the battle log because I believe one of these games, here it is. So this match right here I played earlier today on stream, and this is a new version of the Hog 2.6 cycle deck. And instead of using something like the Evolution Knight, now there is a Heroic Knight. And mind you, my opponent's got level 16 cards. Granted, in all fairness, he doesn't have all level 16 cards. A lot of them are underleveled. Obviously, this is probably a different type of deck. He probably pulled the Heroic Knight and wanted to use it in a deck, but he's pretty high up in trophies for having some cards underleveled. Obviously, I ended up winning this match, so it's not a big deal. I'm not too upset about it. Of course, if I did lose this match, I'd be sitting here saying, Heroic Knight is stupid, nerf the Heroic Knight. I mean, it's a classic tale of you don't have the card that came out, so you're going to whine about it. And that's like something that I'm going to do, of course, especially with the heroic cards, because I think they are busted. It's some of it's very gimmicky, some of it's okay. The heroic musketeer is absolutely busted, But all that to be said, we now have decks that already have some of these cards so heavily incorporated into them. And this is a common deck you'll see is Hog 2.6. But now people are putting in other cards like the Heroic Knight that seamlessly fits in. Or take example for this, if we go out of here and we scroll back up to the top where I was looking at the first matchup, if we go all the way back up to the top and scroll down a little bit right here, this is the original Hog 2.6 cycle deck, but instead of Heroic Knight, they were lucky enough to pull a Heroic Musketeer or buy the Heroic Musketeer. And now, I mean, this is a level 16 kid that I'm going up against as well, by the way, on Trophy Road, which is brutal to try to outplay people with cards that are a full level higher than yours. The interactions are so much more different. Oh well, it is what it is. But instead of playing the classic Hog 2.6, now we're playing Hog 2.6, but with heroic cards that completely change the game because they don't have to use the ability, but they have it there if they want to, and it makes for some just broken interactions, especially the Musketeer. The Musketeer is the most broken heroic card in the game right now. There's no question about it. The mini P.E.K.K.A. is really good, especially in certain situations. The giant is almost pointless. I rarely see anybody use it, and even if they are using it, they really don't use the ability for it. It's a stupid ability. It's, I mean, it should have just been an evolution. Genuinely, it makes no sense to me why the giant didn't get that evolution. And I mean, people wouldn't have probably used it because it's not really that good of an evolution. But on the flip side, you have something like the Knight that people are using insane graveyard drill decks, goblin barrel decks with the Knight because they completely re-aggro whatever is attacking it to to the Knight itself and just do an insane amount of damage. So it's interesting how different Clash Royale is in literally 2 weeks of the game being out. And I feel like we have a really good example of how much things have changed, even if you're just watching this matchup alone. If you would have showed me this, I mean, obviously this guy quit the game because I outplayed him at the beginning and he lost. But if you would have showed me this a couple weeks ago, I would have been so confused as to what you were talking about because it would have made no sense. All that to be said, though, again, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about why people are saying it's so difficult to play ladder right now. Getting level 16 cards has never been harder, or I should say, maxed cards has never been harder. At the very least, elite wild cards were easier to come by, and it didn't require gold to upgrade. 120,000 gold is a lot of gold to upgrade one card. And on top of that, you're not getting a lot of specific cards, and you're not getting a lot of wild cards either. With the nerfs to the lucky drops, I'm sure a lot of people have looked at the lucky drops and have noticed how badly they are nerfed. The lucky chest that I got, even for the 5 stars, I mean, I made a video about it. I got 6,000 fire spirits for one of them. 6,000 fire spirits isn't even enough for me to upgrade the card itself to level 16. It makes no sense at all. But with it being so much more difficult to upgrade your cards to level 16, on top of it taking twice as many games to get to the top of the ladder, and crystals being absolutely pointless, and heroics being implemented into the game, a lot of people like myself only have one deck that they run. I have a variation at this point where I have this deck that used to stem from, oh, hold on. I think it's in my ranked that I have it. I have this deck that used to stem from this deck, and now I'm working on getting this deck, which is some of the same cards, obviously with these two being the same, or these three being the same. I got this one into the second deck that I'm using, so this is also leveled up, and I finally got my Skeleton King to level 15. Now I'm just looking at getting these cards leveled up, but it's going to take a very long time, especially without the wild cards that I need. So it's going to take me quite a bit of time to get the cards where I need them to be. And like I said, it's much more difficult to get those cards, to acquire those cards. So it's so frustrating to try to play ladder when if I jump into a game of ladder and go to Trophy Road and look at the deck that I'm using right now, I have 2 cards that are maxed out, but I'm playing against people with completely maxed out decks. It's very upsetting. It's very frustrating. It's really difficult to accept just how far we've gone from the game in literally only 2 weeks. And it's just something I wanted to yap a little bit about. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please drop in the comment section below. I'm intrigued to hear what you guys think. And yeah, it's going to be a long winter, especially. We'll see what happens next month. I'm worried if they drop a pass royale with a brand new heroic or even a brand new evolution. I genuinely think it would be a good idea for Clash Royale to not drop a new evolution or heroic card for the next few months, at least 1 month. But realistically, maybe until May when the level cap for ranked gets reset. I feel like it's a better idea to just let the ecosystem settle for a second, especially with how much they've implemented in one update. But that's just my personal opinion. Of course, they don't care about my personal opinion. They don't know who I am. They've never seen any of my videos. I am nobody in the Clash Royale community, if you will. So it's just a little piece of sand on a beach in the middle of the ocean that nobody's ever seen. So yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Jump in the stream if you see me streaming. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.